A very good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time to join our webinar today on the Web of Science, the efficient research discovery from a trusted source. My name is Julian, and I'll be your speaker for today. And I work as a customer success consultant at Clarivate, working on our research and analytics suite of solutions like the Web of Science, Insights, and journal citation reports. If anyone's keen on funding information, I'm also supporting our Pivot RP platform, which is our funding database that allows you to discover available funding outside of your own territories. So some minor housekeeping before we go into the session proper. This session is being recorded at the moment, so do ensure that your microphones and your videos are turned off if you do not want to have those recorded. The recording will be sent to all of you after today's session for you to review the parts that you might have missed due to any technical issues. Should you have any technical issues through the webinar, do just make sure that your speakers are set up properly and also your internet bandwidth. Okay, so let us start the session for today. Oh, and one more thing. If you have any questions through the session, feel free to put those questions into the chat and I'll be able to address them as we go along. So what is the Web of Science? The Web of Science platform is an ecosystem that houses multiple databases like the core collection, which is the heart of Web of Science, which comprises of the pre-selected journals, conference proceedings, and books. It also hosts multiple different non-traditional publication types like grants, information, preprints, dissertations, and theses for you to discover. Specialized collections like the zoological records, Biosis, Previews, Biosis Citation Index, CABI, Medline, Inspect, FSTA are also some of the third-party databases that we have within this Web of Science ecosystem. So for those of you who currently have access to Web of Science through a subscription at your own institution, you will be able to get access to the Web of Science via your library's online database website. So do check in with your respective libraries to find out how to get in access to Web of Science. Now, at the heart of the Web of Science ecosystem, as I mentioned, is the Web of Science core collection, which some of you will be fairly familiar with. Now, the Web of Science core collection is a set of content that has been pre-curated to ensure for trustworthiness, to ensure for content novelty and content relevance. And it encompasses 4 journal indexes, which are the Web of Science Citation Index Expanded, Social Science Citation Index, Arts and Humanities Citation Index, and Emerging Sources Citation Index. So we do cover over 22,000 journals from these 4 journal indexes. How the journals are included into these indexes depends on whether they have fulfilled our 24 quality criteria. So all journals that go into the Web of Science have to meet our 24 quality criteria, not 22, not 23, but all 24. The curation is also on an ongoing basis. So this means that journals that are initially indexed in Web of Science have to maintain their standard and quality in order to continue to be indexed in the core collection. Over time, Web of Science editorial teams do adopt AI to help us to uncover some journals of questionable publishing behaviors within the collection. And if these journals have been flagged or highlighted as questionable, we do a re-evaluation of these journals. If they no longer meet our criteria, they do get removed from the Web of Science. So that's the reason why sometimes when you are looking into Web of Science content, you might have this question like, oh, a couple of 2 years ago, I thought I saw this journal index in Web of Science before. I do still see the old content in Web of Science, but why is there no more new content included into Web of Science? So that's possibly one of the reasons. That means the journal was removed from the Web of Science for a certain reason. Now, there are also selection criteria for our conference proceedings as well as books. So all the content within Web of Science core collection have to meet our quality criteria, no matter what content type they are. So we don't index everything under the sun because we realized we do acknowledge that there is an age of misinformation now. So in order to make sure that what we include is trustworthy content, that we had to adopt this rigorous evaluation process. Now, why is it important for you as researchers to be using Web of Science then? Number one, the content has already been pre-curated, so it's trusted content. But most importantly, it's also about efficiency of information retrieval. Within the Web of Science core collection, we do have a large number of content, but we also acknowledge that you as researchers do not have time to read every single article in the database. So within the Web of Science system, we do have analytical tools that help you to pull related and relevant content faster and at an more efficient pace. That said, the Web of Science is not a full text database. It is a citation network. It is a citation database. The reason why we don't host full text content is because the essence of Web of Science is about the abstracts and its references. So being able to see the relationship of past and present research is the most important aspect of the Web of Science core collection. Okay. So in order for these analytics to take place and to discover these relationships, we need to be meticulous in our metadata construction on Web of Science. So if you go into Web of Science and look at a specific record, for example, an article, you would definitely see the full list of cited references of that document and also the full author lists and affiliation lists. This allows you to then be very comprehensive in analyzing why a specific reference was made of a document. You'll be able to trace back in time into history to observe trends of the evolution of that topic area and also to identify research gaps that you can plug. Comprehensiveness in terms of the author names is important because you potentially might want to reach out to some of these authors for collaborations. Funders are also now getting more strict in terms of providing funding. So information about what was previously funded by a particular funder becomes a very important lens for you as a researcher to peek into. So in Web of Science, we ensure that the funding data is as comprehensive as possible so that you can understand why a piece of research was initially funded. You'll be able to understand how to position your own research to get those funds. Now, we include the daily updates as well for Web of Science. So if there's new content being indexed, it will be introduced on a daily basis. Citation counts are also updated on a daily basis within the platform. Now, to help some of our new users on understanding what we mean by citation network, I thought I would use this example to guide you on the importance of using a citation network for research discovery. Now, imagine you are doing a keyword search in Web of Science. Okay, it's fine to start with a keyword search to look for relevant content, but sometimes the keywords can be very broad and it would kind of surface a couple of hundred of thousands of records at one time, possibly. Then you would use some of our tools like the filters and the searching within the results to help you to navigate this large pool of data. Through that, you might come across a document published in 2010 that sparks some idea for you in terms of framing your own research. But this is just one article. Before you embark on any research, it's important for you to do a very comprehensive literature review of the topic that you are interested in. So from this 2010 document, you can start by looking at relevant documents. Now, where are these relevant documents? You would start with the references used. So this 2010 document would have cited some references, and these are papers usually published before this one you were looking at. Now, looking backwards in time, you can look at those cited references. Each of them would also have their own cited references. So you can imagine this goes back, continues to go backwards. But because you're using the references as a starting point, this means that you are looking at really relevant publications because these have all been cited. So there's some kind of relationship between this past paper and this 2010 one. Okay. Now, from the references, where else can you look for related documents? It's from articles that are citing this 2010 one. These would be articles from 2010 all the way to 2025. So these are the newer papers, right? So looking at the citing articles, which are clickable on Web of Science through the citation counts, okay, you would see newer publications here. And again, they also have their own citation network, like the cited references and the citing articles. So can you imagine each of these documents spanning out across their cited references and citing articles, and then continuing on to expand further and further out into a very complex spider web network of citation connections. So this is the essence of the Web of Science. It allows you to look at this complex network and discover the most relevant publications for your research. In my first slide of today's webinar, I mentioned that Web of Science is an ecosystem and it houses some non-traditional content. Depending on your institution's subscription to Web of Science, you will have some access to certain of these literature. So first up, we have the preprints. Now, preprints are content that has not been peer-reviewed. Okay, I reiterate, preprints are not peer-reviewed, but it is important for you to take a quick look at preprints because these are up-and-coming published documents. So that means these documents have been submitted to journals. They have not been accepted yet. They have not been peer-reviewed yet, but it gives you a glimpse of what's up and coming. So preprints can stand to be a useful source for you to understand how certain ideas or certain research have recently evolved. Now, this should not be confused with early access publications because early access publications are papers usually that have already gone through that peer review process and it has been accepted by the journal to be published. All right, so we do have preprints available for you to discover. If you're curious about which are the repositories that we currently cover some of the major ones like arXiv, bioRxiv, medRxiv, chemarXiv, and preprints.org. The other set of content that we also have within the Web of Science ecosystem is our ProQuest Dissertations and Thesis Citation Index. This allows you to discover over 4,000 graduate works from over 60 different countries. And if your institution also subscribes to ProQuest Dissertations and Thesis Global, which is the full text standalone database for dissertations and thesis, then from the Web of Science ecosystem, you can link out to view the full text of these dissertations. Okay. We also have the grants index that's available for you to browse if your institution has a subscription to the Web of Science core collection. And it allows you to look at a particular grant based on the grant number, based on it being an awarded grant or different status of the grant. Now, this information is a consolidation of information from the published from the documents as well as from the funders. So the funders that we work with will provide us with detailed information about the awarded grant, the duration of the grant, the amounts, and who has been awarded those grants. Now, from this information, we can then link out to the associated publications related to a particular funding agency or grant number. Right, so that's the content that we have on the Web of Science. It encompasses the core collection, but it can also include other non-traditional content types like what I've presented before. Right. So in terms of the content, I will guide you on a live demo on how to see what you have access to from your own respective institutions. Because in today's call, we do have participants from various institutions, and because of our subscription packages, some of you will have differing access. Okay. Now, within the Web of Science, we do have analytical tools and personalization features for you to make it more efficient for you to discover research. And our latest introduction is in terms of our smart search. Just a couple of months back, actually just last month, we have introduced our first step in our, I would say, enhancement based on AI. And we have introduced smart search. This allows for semantic searching, natural language searching, AI auto-completion, spelling corrections, and also searching, looking at things like the citation maps, co-citation maps of publications. This is already available for all subscribers of Web of Science. So this does not require a separate subscription. This is already there on the platform. Right. So this makes use of AI for only semantic searching. So it's not exactly our research assistant, which I will also be explaining later on. Okay. We also have some analytical features like the Analyze Results feature that allows you to take a closer look at the publications that you have found on the Web of Science. So let's say, for example, you did a quick search on hydrogen energy. You will be able to look through this 16,000 plus publications and take a closer look at which are the authors publishing in this space, which are the affiliations for collaborations, and even look at publication sources. So if your topic that you have been searching is a very niche one, a specialized one, this allows you to uncover journals that are publishing those very novel ideas or topics. We also have the citation report feature. This comes in very handy when you want to take a look at the publication trends and citation trends of a topic area. Some institutions also use this to analyze their own affiliations publications. Okay. So I'll demonstrate these features in the live platform. All right. So I'm going to go straight into a quick demonstration of how to make use of Web of Science and also introduce you to the new Smart Search. If you have any questions for me now, feel free to type those into the chat as I go through the demonstration. Okay. Now, first things first, as I mentioned, if you are looking to access this platform, do go to your university's library and check the online databases section to see whether you can find Web of Science and link out. Okay, because to access Web of Science fully, you need to be able to access your library's portal. Once you find Web of Science and you click through to Web of Science to see whether you have full access, just scroll to the bottom of the page and you would see your institution's name where you see my Clarivate logo at the moment. Now you would see my name here. That's because I've registered for my own account on Web of Science. Some of you might find this useful because you might want to do safe searches or saved alerts. Okay, then you would want to register for your own access of Web of Science. Some of you also have publications or papers indexed in Web of Science and you want to consolidate a Web of Science researcher profile for yourself, then a registration for your own account is needed. If you have never registered for a researcher ID or you have never registered for a Publon's account, feel free to click on the register button at the top of the page and use your institutional email address to register. For those of you who have previously registered for a Publon's account before, you can use that same login to access Web of Science profiles. Okay. Hey, so this is the traditional search interface. So all of you will have this opt-in, opt-out button for Smart Search at the top. So if you turn off Smart Search, it will sit on it will look something like this with the traditional search interface. Then you will be able to go to the Documents tab and look at the databases that you have access to. So here you can click on the drop-down arrow and see your access options. Okay, I have access to everything, so it will look slightly different from what you might have on your own screens. But minimally, you would probably see Web of Science core collection. You would see things like the preprints, the dissertations and thesis, and the grants index. Okay. So if you want to see the depth of content that you have for Web of Science core collection, just click on Web of Science core collection and you would see the additions here. Then go to the drop-down arrow and you can see the depth of your content search. Okay. So for today's purposes, I will start with the Web of Science core collection search. But as a user, you have the option to search across all the database at one time, which is actually the one of the key benefits of searching all these different content types within one ecosystem. All right, but if you choose all databases, the number of fields that you can search might be a bit shorter. So it might not cover every single field within the Web of Science core collection. Now, for the Web of Science core collection, these are the fields available to search. You can hover over it and take a look on a quick explanation on the right. There is an all field search and there is a topic search. If you are looking for specific topic papers or just searching for doing a literature review, okay, I would recommend that you use the topic search rather than all fields search. Okay, because all fields will actually search through things like the affiliation name and the author names as well. So if you look for things like a very generic term like green technology, okay, it might surface a lot of non-relevant papers because green and the word technology are very common terms in author names or even affiliations. Okay. So under the topic search, we can start with, let's see, let's look at marine biology or marine algae, okay, and do a search. Then you would see a very large number of results as a start. Now, the first thing that you can do is make use of our AI generated keywords here to help you to narrow down the search a little bit more. So perhaps I want specifically any papers that have mentioned this term, Rhodophyta, and I would choose to include that keyword, and that drastically reduces the result set to 2000. Okay, so 2000 is a fairly manageable set of data. So from this set of 2000 plus documents, you can take a quick look at the quick filters here. If you want to quickly see highly cited papers, review articles, open access articles, these are all here for quick filtering. You might not be able to see some of these filters I have. Reason because things like highly cited papers are a subscription label. So your institution do need to subscribe to Insights in order to see this overlay. Okay. Now, if you don't see highly cited papers, you can still use our sort functionality here to navigate the data. So there is definitely a citations highest first option, and this is where you can see the papers that have been more highly cited. Okay. If you want to look through some of the newer papers, then you can sort this list by newest first, and this would give you the most latest publications. All right. Now, if you want to add an additional criteria to your search, you can always click on the topic search here on the top and add in maybe something along the lines of year published. So maybe I only want 2010 to 2025 publications, and then do a search. So then this reduces it to 1000 plus. And again, I can do a sort by to look at things like citations or maybe also usage. So what is of interest to people who are using Web of Science recently when they are searching for marine algae? All right. So this is one of the papers that have most utility, and then you can click through to view that highly cited paper. Now from this document, I mentioned before about the citation network. So looking at the cited references as well as the citations, this is where you can view the references. Okay, so this document has used 337 references, and then you can click on this 337 and you can see the list of references. Now, the difference between these sets of references and what you would see on a full text is that in Web of Science, when you're looking at the cited references, you do see the references citation counts as well. So this also helps you to understand which of these 300 plus references would be what would be useful for you to take a look. At the same time, some of you might want to export this directly to your reference management software. Then you can click and view as a set of results from here. So there's a link here. So this set of results is actually the list of cited references. Okay, so this 337 references mentioned in this document. You can export this directly to EndNote RefWorks, or just export an RIS file to integrate with your other reference software. Right. So coming back to this document that we were looking at, besides the citation network, there is information about the authors right here. So if you see that it's clickable, it runs a new search of this author's publications, and also the source. So which journal is this published in? And if your institution also subscribes to JCR, Journal Citation Reports, then you can view the journal impact factor from here. Okay. If you want the full text of this article, it's still there. So there's always a link to the publisher's website. So there's a free full text here. Alternatively, you can always install this browser plugin called EndNote Click. So you can go to EndNote Click, do a quick registration, and it will integrate something into your browser. So it will appear something like this on the top of my navigation bar. And then here, this is also EndNote Click. So if there's a full text available, I can immediately view the full text in a separate tab without having to go through a publisher's website again. Okay. Then from here, I can click download PDF and save it to my desktop. Okay. All right. There are also other features here. So I'll go back one step. Okay. So looking at these sets of publication, 1000 plus, the analyze results feature is here, which I mentioned in my slides. You can click on analyze results, and this will take you to the Web of Science categories. And here you can see things like which are the researchers working in this space. So you have Gary Saunders, Woo Sung Min, and so on. Then you can click on their names, and there will be a preview of their profile of Web of Science. You can see their researcher ID and their most recent publications. If you want to see their latest full profile, then there's a link to view the full profile on Web of Science. Besides the researchers' profiles, you can also look at the Web of Science categories. So these are the subject categories that these sets of documents fall under. We all know that you were searching for marine algae, so definitely part of marine freshwater biology, but sometimes it might come up with some interesting things like um, uh, maybe some terms on robotics or engineering might come up, and you go like, what has marine algae got to do with robotics, or and so on, and you can then click through to those publications and see why they are relevant to each other. This sometimes can help you to uncover novel applications and novel ideas for your own research. Okay, so for example, what has our algae got to do with paleontology, or what has it got to do with nutrition and dietetics? Okay, so to do that, either you go through this tree map and view records, or just select the area of interest and then refine the results by the selected set. Okay. Now, we also have the SDG goals here and also citation topics. Now, citation topics is another way that we classify the articles. So you can be a bit more precise in searching for certain documents if your topic is very niche. So maybe I am working on porifera. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Okay, but I can go to those sets of records and do a new search on porifera to get those relevant ones. So I'm viewing these that are related to porifera. which is this citation topic. But what would happen is that I can go to this article and view the categories, and you would see citation topics. Then if I click on porifera, it will run a brand new search on this topic, and there will be more relevant publications for you to look at. Okay. Let's go back a few. Okay. City, your question is whether you can have the recorded version of today's webinar. Yes, I will be sending through a link after today's session, probably by tomorrow, and you can review the parts that you might have missed or parts that I have gone too fast. Okay. Okay, so coming back to our Analyze Results tab, you can also look at the publication titles. So you can see which are the journals that is publishing in this space. So you have Journal of Applied Phycology, okay, Botanica Marina, and so on. Okay, these list of journals are those that are indexed in Web of Science already. So they all have a journal impact factor unless they were newly indexed in Web of Science. Okay, so take some time to browse through these analysis. You might find some of these very useful. So things like funding agencies, which funders are funding this area of research, and also things like the countries and affiliations. Okay, so that's the topic search and how to navigate through the documents in Web of Science. Another useful thing that you could look at is the cited references. Okay, so cited references allows you to search within the list of references of the documents in Web of Science. So think of it like the Paris Agreement. Okay, we don't index the Paris Agreement because it's not a journal, it's not a conference proceeding. Okay, it's just an agreement. So, but some of the documents in Web of Science might have cited some things in the Paris Agreement. So you can put in Paris Agreement in cited work under the cited references search, and then do a search and select all. So view all and select, and then see the results. So you have another 3,000 plus publications to go through. And because these are all mentioning Paris Agreement in some form or other. Okay. All right, so that's the traditional search interface. If you want to navigate to the Smart Search, this is where you go to. So you just click on Smart Search, and that toggles you to our Smart Search box. By default, it will search all fields in all databases. You can sort. You can change this to Web of Science Core Collection, and be able to search for a, a a topic. Okay. So from here, I can do maybe a search for meat consumption. And it will tell you some of the popular searches. So meat consumption and health is one. And from here, this would be a combination of the semantic search and the Boolean search. And we will list down we can list down the most relevant ones, sort by relevance. So this would show you the most relevant set of results at the top, and you can explore the content as what I mentioned before, but now with also something called the co-citation map. So this would tell you which other documents have been co-cited with this one, and then you can view the other related documents. So this then helps you to explore the citation network in a more efficient manner. Okay. Okay. So that's the smart search. Just put in your own natural language terms. It doesn't have to include Boolean, okay, because it would help to, it will already take into consideration Boolean searching as well as semantic searching. Okay, right. So that's the smart search. Are there any questions specific to the Web of Science demonstration that I've just done? I think there's a question here in the chat. Sabyasachi, I hope I pronounced that correctly, or Das. May I know how to find the top 1% of journals in medicine? Now, for today's topic, I'm not covering the journal citation report, but we do have an upcoming session in a couple of weeks' time, I think. So do look out for that one. I will guide you on how to identify the top 1% using the journal citation reports. So you can't find the top 1% here in Web of Science, but you have to use the journal citation reports, which is this other platform. Okay. All right. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, while you're thinking of questions, if you do have need for more detailed, so the co-citation map the same as the citation tree? To a certain extent, yes. Okay, so this co-citation map would show you that this document has been co-cited with this other ones. Okay, and then you can view those sets as a result. Okay, it's another way of looking at the citation relationships. So the direct one is from here. So like new documents that have cited this one published in 2024. This one will be the references. This will be the citations. Then co-citations would be whether they have been co-cited with another document and the number of times they have been co-cited together. Okay, so it's a separate perspective, a different angle. Okay. Now, if you need further help, we do have our support pages here, which is this question mark, and then it'll be here under the recorded trainings or product updates and training and support. So this will link you to our help and training portal. Okay. Now, for the next part, I was going to show you our research assistant as well, because that is also of interest to some of you. So let me come here. Okay, so our Web of Science Research Assistant is our our next level of AI tools within the Web of Science, but this requires a separate subscription. So if your institution, if this is of interest to you and you hope to have a try of this AI platform, do reach out to your library and they will be able to work with us to set up a trial for your whole institution. Okay, we do not give individual trials at the moment, but we give trial access to the whole institution. Okay, now this Web of Science Research Assistant allows you to discover research more efficiently within the Web of Science core collection content. All right. So we do have at Clarivate multiple AI assistants. So even things like ProQuest, you have an assistant. Elma, you have an assistant, and so on. Right. When we are developing our AI tools, we always partner with our research community. We also make sure that we have agreements with all the various publishers in allowing us to use their content in teaching our AI algorithm. Okay. We have something called the academic AI platform that is our technology backbone that helps us to develop all these different research assistants. Okay, and we also make sure that we test and evaluate all different methodologies before we go to launch. So with the Web of Science Research Assistant, this is our generative AI powered tool that will help you as researchers to get the most out of the Web of Science core collection. Because if you remember the content depth coverage that I was mentioning earlier on, some institutions might have Web of Science content up to 1975 only. Some of you will have until year 2000 only. So different depth of content. But for the Web of Science Research Assistant, the summary that it generates would come from a search of the full depth of Web of Science core collection. So that means up to 1900. So if you do want a very comprehensive literature search, then the Web of Science Research Assistant becomes a very useful add-on for your institution. Okay? Now, it functions a bit like a chatbot. So you can speak to it, you can type in your own natural language. Okay, so most of you are from Malaysia. If you want to type in Bahasa Melayu, you can do that as well, and it will generate Bahasa responses. This then allows you to become very efficient in your searches. You can grasp core concepts faster, especially if you are working to do interdiscipline research. So say, for example, you might be in robotics and you might think of using a certain material on robots. Okay, then you might want to find out more about material science. Then this tool allows you to quickly find information about the topic that you might not be so familiar with. Okay, so I will go into a demonstration of the platform. So just take note, the tool allows you to search in your own language, and it covers the full 120 years of research from Web of Science core collection. We will also include the proper references, and there will also be avenues for you to give feedback on the response from the AI assistant. Okay, you can also preview the abstracts and citation network of the records before you click to view the full record on the traditional Web of Science interface. And we also have various visualizations available for you to navigate the related topics. So how do you view Research Assistant? In the next couple of weeks, some of you might see this link, Research Assistant, at the top. If you click through and it lands you on a marketing page, it means that your institution currently does not subscribe to Research Assistant. You might want to recommend this for subscription through your library. Okay. Now, going to the Research Assistant, you can start a new chat, and we have these 3 guided tasks available: understand a topic, literature review, and finding a journal. Okay, so let's start with understanding a topic. So it would ask, what is your topic of interest? And then you can put in maybe marine algae. Then it will start with a quick summary of the topic. Okay, it might tell you that it's a little bit broad, but this is the overall summary of the topic area. Okay, and it will also suggest some follow-up questions. So how do marine algae contribute to carbon cycling in ocean ecosystems? Then you can click through and it will run a new search. It will tell you how the results were generated, because we know that you need to reproduce some of these searches. So it will say it search for marine algae, seaweed, okay? And we provide a choice of responses. So this one was generated using this option of searching, and then there's another one that generated this other option. Then this is the format of the output. And it's up to you to choose what's your preference so that we can further guide and teach our algorithm that that is the preference, and it will generate a more popular, a more suitable response. Okay. From this, you can then also look at our visualizations. There is a topic map. So just to show you other related topics and see whether you want to run a new search for these, and then you can click through to view those documents. Okay. We also have a documents over time graph for marine biogeochemical cycles. There is also a top authors list. So who are the top authors in this space? And then you can view the author summary. So there is a short overview of the researcher's analysis, researcher's outputs, and a summary of his expertise areas using AI. Okay. Right. So this is the first search guided tasks. The next one is our literature review, which is our agentic AI. So when we talk about agentic AI, it's think of it like an assistant that is literally working with you to guide you step by step on formulating a search criteria and also a overview. So if you go to Literature Review 2.0, this tool, this assistant allows you to create a detailed literature review of a topic, identify research gaps, find hotspots, or formulate hypotheses. Now, detailed literature review will encompass all three of these. Right. So I'm going to click on create a detailed review about meat consumption and impact on cancer risk. So the agentic AI usually takes a little bit more time because it has to do more processing and thinking, especially if you have a very very specific topic area. Okay. So from here, it will say it will review the topic of meat consumption and impact on cancer risk. This is the structured approach. Do you want to refine anything? You might want to consider some of these subtopics. Okay. Here, let's search this one, how meat consumption can potentially lead to cancer. So let's focus on this one, and then it will tell you what are the keywords it will use to search, what is the Boolean logic, and if you're happy with this, you can say proceed. So the agentic AI becomes more flexible. It's not stuck on the initial algorithm that we have used, but rather it gives you the opportunity to fine tune some of these approaches. Okay. So it will tell you that it will suggest that you restrict to the last 10 years to find the most relevant and up-to-date research to consider. Okay, if it works for you, continue. Otherwise, you can suggest up to 15 years. All right. And you click on yes. So for the literature review on meat consumption and its impact on cancer, specifically focusing on carcinogens in processed meats, then the output format will include the introduction, common themes, gaps, and so on. And then it will tell you that in the last 10 years, it found about 63 articles. Let's go for 50 articles to generate the literature review. Okay, so it will start to write the literature review for you using the introduction and the specific format and sections. Okay. So as it generates, just a reiteration that this is available for trial. Do reach out to your respective libraries to give feedback. Otherwise, at the end of the session today, there's a survey. Do indicate your interest in the free text boxes in the survey as well. Okay. So here you have the common themes. And then gaps in research. And then the conclusion and potential hypothesis. Okay. So there are multiple references here. The other thing that you could do is create a table to summarize the topics as well for the references. Okay. Okay. If anyone's interested to see the different in Bahasa, I do have some examples here. So there's one option in Thai. I can't read Thai, but this would give you an example of how it will respond in the natural language. So this is one in Thai. We have also I also did one in Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, and then this is the response. Okay. Right, so let me just come back to the one that we were looking at. So this is the list of references. Generate a table for this. Okay, and then it would give you a quick summary in the table. Whoosh. All right, so that's the output for this particular literature review. Okay, so I think we are at time now. So I hope you found today's session useful. This is, I've already shown you where you can go for these the learning portal. But at the same time, if you have any further questions for me, feel free to email me on this email address. I'll also put that into the chat so that you can keep that. Otherwise, when you receive the recording for today's session, my email will also be there. All right. So I thank you once again for your time for today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the week. And I wish you all success in your research journey. And thank you. See you next time.